Rain slammed against the tall glass windows as lightning split the sky into pieces. Every flash filled the room with pale blue light before darkness returned again. The power had gone out nearly an hour ago, leaving only a few candles burning softly on the floor. Their small flames flickered each time the wind howled outside. In the center of the room sat Emily. Her wheelchair was positioned near the window, but she wasn't looking outside. Her head was lowered. Tears slowly slid down her cheeks. Her hands trembled as she held a piece of paper. The letter had arrived that afternoon. A letter that carried both hope and heartbreak. Standing beside her was Marcus. Tall, calm, strong. But inside, his heart was racing faster than the storm outside. He gently placed his arm around Emily's shoulders. "Don't worry," he whispered softly. "I'm here for you." Emily closed her eyes, shaking her head slowly. "You don't understand," she said quietly. "My life ended 3 years ago." Marcus looked at her carefully. "No," he replied, "your life didn't end. It just changed." Emily let out a bitter laugh. "That's a nice way to say it," she said. "But the truth is, I lost everything." Lightning flashed again, lighting the room like a photograph frozen in time. For a moment, Marcus could see the pain in her eyes clearly. 3 years ago, Emily Parker had been a completely different person. She was a dancer, not just someone who danced for fun. She lived for it. Every morning began with music. Every night ended with practice. Her dream was simple: perform on the biggest stages in America. Travel the world. Feel free. And she was close. Very close. A famous dance company in New York had invited her for an audition. It was the opportunity she had waited her whole life for. But the night before the audition, everything changed. Emily had been driving home after rehearsal. The roads were empty. The city lights blurred past her car windows. She was thinking about the audition. About the future. About the life she was about to step into. Then suddenly, headlights appeared in front of her. A car swerved wildly across the road. The driver had been drunk. There was no time to react. No time to brake. No time to escape. The crash happened in seconds. Metal screamed. Glass exploded. The world spun into darkness. When Emily woke up in the hospital days later, everything felt different. Her body felt heavy. Her legs felt numb. At first, she thought it was just pain medication. But when the doctor walked into the room, his face told the truth before his words did. The accident had damaged her spine. She would never walk again. The dream she had chased her entire life disappeared in one moment. At first, people surrounded her with support. Friends visited. Family called. Everyone said the same thing. "You're strong. You'll get through this." But weeks turned into months. And slowly, people disappeared. The dance company moved on. Friends stopped calling. Even the man she had been dating slowly faded from her life. Emily learned something painful about the world. When life becomes difficult, many people leave. Hope began to disappear from her life. Until the day she met Marcus. Marcus worked as a physical therapist at the rehabilitation center where Emily began treatment. The first time they met, Emily refused to speak. She sat silently in her wheelchair, staring at the wall. Marcus tried to encourage her. But Emily pushed him away. She didn't want sympathy. She didn't want motivation. She didn't want to hear that everything would be okay. Because she didn't believe it anymore. But Marcus didn't give up. Day after day, he showed up with the same calm smile. Sometimes he talked. Sometimes he simply sat nearby. Sometimes they watched the sunset through the clinic windows. Weeks passed. And slowly, Emily started talking again. Then laughing. Then smiling. Marcus never treated her like someone broken. He treated her like someone powerful. But tonight, something had changed. Emily looked again at the letter in her hands. Earlier that day, a hospital had contacted her. A spinal specialist had reviewed her medical records. There was a new surgery. Experimental. Risky. But possible. A small chance that it could restore movement in her legs. A chance to walk again. But there was a problem. The cost. $200,000. Insurance refused to cover the procedure. Emily had stared at the number for hours. Then she laughed. Not because it was funny. But because hope felt impossible. Now she sat in the dark room, the letter shaking in her hands. "I can't do this," she whispered. Marcus slowly knelt in front of her so their eyes met. "You're afraid," he said. Emily nodded. "What if I try and fail?" she asked. "I already lost everything once." Marcus took a deep breath. There was something he had been waiting months to say. Something he had kept secret. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. Emily frowned. "What is that?" Marcus placed it gently in her hands. "Open it." Her fingers trembled as she unfolded the paper. Her eyes moved across the page. Then suddenly they widened. Emily looked up at him in shock. This says the surgery is paid for." Marcus nodded quietly. Emily shook her head. "That's impossible." Marcus smiled softly. "I've been planning this for a long time." Emily's voice trembled. "Marcus, this surgery costs $200,000. Marcus nodded again. "I know." Emily stared at him, confused. "How could you possibly?" Marcus interrupted gently. "I sold my house." The room went completely silent. The storm outside suddenly felt very far away. Emily's eyes filled with tears. "You sold your house?" Marcus shrugged slightly. "It's just a house." Emily shook her head. "No, that was your future." Marcus smiled warmly. "My future is watching you dance again." Emily began crying harder. "No one has ever done something like this for me." Marcus gently wiped her tears. "You once told me something," he said. Emily sniffed. "What?" Marcus smiled. "You said dancing isn't about legs. It's about heart." He lightly touched her chest. "And Emily, your heart never stopped dancing." The storm outside slowly began to fade. Thunder moved farther away. Emily looked at the letter again. Then at Marcus. "Why would you do all this?" she whispered. Marcus hesitated, then finally told the truth. "Because I love you." Emily froze. "You love me?" Marcus nodded. "I did from the first day you yelled at me in therapy." Emily laughed through her tears. "I threw a water bottle at you." Marcus laughed too. "You have good aim." For the first time that night, Emily smiled. Marcus stood and walked behind her wheelchair. He gently pushed her toward the large window. Outside, the storm clouds were slowly breaking apart. Moonlight appeared between them. Marcus opened the window slightly. Cool air filled the room. "Listen," he said. Emily listened. The storm was leaving. "It's quiet," she said softly. Marcus smiled. "That's what a storm sounds like when it's ending." Emily closed her eyes. For the first time in years, she felt something stronger than pain. Hope. 6 months later, inside a small New York theater, the lights dimmed. A crowd waited silently. The music began, and slowly, a woman walked onto the stage. Step by step, the audience gasped, because they knew her story. Emily Parker stood under the spotlight, and in the front row sat Marcus, watching, smiling, as Emily took her first dance step in 4 years. "Why would you do all this?" she whispered. Marcus hesitated, then finally told the truth. "Because I love you." Emily froze. "You love me?" Marcus nodded. "I did from the first day you yelled at me in therapy." Emily laughed through her tears. "I threw a water bottle at you." Marcus laughed too. "You have good aim." For the first time that night, Emily smiled. Marcus stood and walked behind her wheelchair. He gently pushed her toward the large window. Outside, the storm clouds were slowly breaking apart. Moonlight appeared between them. Marcus opened the window slightly. Cool air filled the room. "Listen," he said. Emily listened. The storm was leaving. "It's quiet," she said softly. Marcus smiled. "That's what a storm sounds like when it's ending." Emily closed her eyes.